For years, the people of Gotham City wondered, who is he? Now they're asking, who is she?
Jeez Louise, it's a woman!
It's Batman, Mystery of the Batwoman, the all-new feature-length movie, new on DVD and video.
Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation.
Today we're covering another DC animated movie, this time Mystery of the Batwoman.
And I've been wanting to see this for a while. And connecting to the Batman the Animated Series universe, this movie sees a new vigilante in town called Batwoman. Only Bruce has no idea who she is.
Yeah, like
and
the
he's
Bat
the world's
name.
greatest detective.
Right.
So now the mystery begins in uncovering the identity and motives of this possible ally.
And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, click notification button on future podcasts and welcome pause videos.
Absolutely. Now this was made back in 2003 when it was okay for people to be portrayed the way they were portrayed. And also you were having the slew of voice actors who were known for voicing DC characters.
Right.
So it was a great time in DC history.
Yes.
A time long gone, unfortunately.
Right. And it connects to the animated series universe, and it's still the animation, all the returning voice cast from the show, the designs from the last season when they did the redesigns. And it looks like they did quite a few of these movies where they had additional stories that were turned into spin-off films, like with Mask of the Phantasm and Sub-Zero. And this was one of the few we have not ever seen, and not counting newer movies where they got the extra violence and all that. Talking about when they had these like 1 or 2 movies a year for animated releases. And I only heard about it from Bennett when he was working on a arc, and I didn't recognize the audio, and he explained to people that was from the Batwoman movie, which I didn't even know existed, so I've been wanting to find it too, but never could seem to see where it was free. So
I remember I saw it, but every place that I saw it, they want you to pay $10. And
Right.
we were like, no. And we couldn't find it at the library at all.
Right.
And so we were like, oh well. And it wasn't something we wanted to buy until we knew
If
did
it was,
we love it or not. And I absolutely love it. So quickly I want to mention that this was the 4th in the DC animated universe, and actually took place after the end of the new Batman adventure.
Oh, okay, so it was like an extra story.
Right. So we're going to mention voice actors, so let's tell you who they are. Of course, Batman is voiced by the incomparable Kevin Conroy. Kimberly Brooks is Kathleen DeCane.
Yes, who was really different in here, as you can see.
And another surprise was Kelly Ripa as Roxanne Valentine.
Yeah.
Alyssa Gabrielli, not familiar with her, as Detective Sonia Alcana. Then we had Kira Sedgwick, David Ogden Stiers, Kevin Michael Richardson, Hector Elizondo, who we've seen in other DC movies as well. And this was the time you've seen on Twitter, if you follow animation or any Twitter, you've seen Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. voiced Alfred Pennyworth.
Yeah.
And then we finally got to see that performance, and he did a great job.
Yes.
He really did. Tara Strong is Barbara Gordon. Bob Hastings is Commissioner Gordon. Again, we're familiar with a lot of these people. Sean Patrick Thomas. It was really nice to hear them all together again.
Yes.
And doing a fantastic, flawless job in voicing these characters.
Yes, absolutely. It was like no different from watching the TV show. And what I really like about this movie is that it actually was a mystery. Because sometimes when you get some of these movies, and somehow there are times where it's not that well written, or you end up figuring out who the guilty party is before the movie ends. And that kind of happened with Mask of the Phantasm. You know, it's considered one of the greatest animated Batman movie of all time. You could kind of figure out who the person underneath the mask was. Doesn't deteriorate from it being a great film, but it was just like, you kind of know already. Here, you really don't know, because we were thinking, oh, we got it figured out because of the Batwoman CW series and all this, and we finally got some connections, but then someone else kind of leads in some hints like, oh, it could be this one. Oh, no, this one could be it. I actually don't know, and it threw us off so much when it got to the reveal, we were actually shocked.
We were shocked like Anya.
Yeah, shock!
And here's the thing, when they made the live-action Batwoman, why in the heck Did they not use this as the basis?
Right,
The
then
first-
it makes sense.
Right, the pilot could have been 2 episodes or a 1-hour pilot.
Mhm.
Copying this movie, and people who've never seen it would have never known.
Right.
Well, Batwoman was portrayed by 3 different people, and then having to figure out what happened.
Yeah.
And then the one who is actually revealed in this 3 people, only one of them ends up doing it from that time on. That would have been a brilliant way.
Yes.
But it's
And-
like just like Disney.
Yeah.
You take your ideas
Screw it
and
up.
you screw them up. This movie was the perfect springboard for the actual live action series.
Yes,
it didn't
that-
need to be updated. It didn't need to be modern. It didn't need to be any of that garbage they ended up throwing in latter seasons. This should have been the basis for it.
Yeah, and now it will make much more sense on why, besides what happened with the actress in real life, switch it up to a different Batwoman. It would have been a great homage to this movie. Say, hey, this has been done before. So next season it'll be a third one. It'll be a reimagining of that. Like that would have made so much more sense. It would have had people like, hey, that actually isn't a bad idea. But it was so focused on who Batwoman was outside of being Batwoman and what she did and all these tropey stuff that you couldn't get into it.
And what would really be brilliant is you had the first Ruby Rose being the first.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, you saw her life, but not so much focus on it. And then, as you said, she not disappear and someone take her place.
Right.
After the pilot, as you said, it goes to the second Batwoman. And then after the second season, she doesn't want to do it anymore. She can't. And then the third one take over.
Yes.
And as you said, not focus so much on the lives outside of superheroing. This would have been a wonderful way to do it, but alas.
Right.
Now, this movie itself was written by Alan Burnett.
Mhm.
I was surprised.
I think he's done some of Batman Beyond as
Yes.
well.
Now, before this movie, Paul Williams voiced Penguin.
Mhm.
He decided he didn't want to go that route. He wanted Penguin to sound more menacing and threatening. So he recast him with David Ogden Stiers, and Bruce Timm was not happy about it.
Ah.
So what do
okay.
you think after watching it, comparing to the performances of Paul Williams? How do you think David Ogden Stiers did?
I think he did a pretty good job for the movie. I think ones who are used to Paul Williams in the animated series will probably have to get adjusted because Penguin's supposed to have this air of he's supposed to be sophisticated. You know he's a villain. You know how he looks. And the thing was he's supposed to be still sophisticated while still being villainous until they got to later iterations. And I guess in here they kind of abandoned slightly the sophisticated part for him becoming more villainous, where it's just a facade to show how cruel he can be. But I guess it works for the movie in this particular story. But if it was still within the main series, still would prefer Paul Williams.
I agree. Now, this also marked the final performances of Bob Hastings as Commissioner Gordon and John Vernon as Rupert Thorne because they died in 2014 and 2005 respectively. And Alan Burnett again wrote the script. Well, he and Michael Reeves wrote the script. And they wanted to show the continuity, which it does, with the previous Bruce Timm shows. Now, this was Barbara Gordon's relationship with Bruce Wayne coming to an end, which is why I guess he was being a playboy in here, because he was being a playboy with the ladies in here.
And
when it was still okay to do so.
Right.
But it was also done in a way that was humorous.
It was still
was
tasteful.
Fun. Exactly. It was not licentious. He wasn't hitting on women. He was flirtatious, and there was nothing that you would go, why they put that in there. It still was safe for kids to watch. This also showed Dick Grayson had left Gotham to fight crime as Nightwing.
Right.
So he had
no appearance in here.
Correct. He had Tim as the Robin. And Batgirl is also older, so
she's
here
in college, right?
Yeah, but she calls Bruce
in
here, and she's like, "How come I haven't seen you? Have you replaced me with someone else?"
Yeah.
And we're like, "Hang up the phone! Hang up the phone!"
Hang up, yeah. It was like, oh, and then knowing this was already in here, it's like, oh no, please don't bring this up again. Unfortunately, they did with the Killing Joke. It's like, please stop.
Yes.
Like that's the only probably part you're like, oh no, but it's minor.
Yes. Now you had a collection, I should say, of DC villains that appear in here, the ever-hated Bane, I'm sorry, but Hector Elizondo did a great job performing him. I think he's done the best performance of Bane personally.
Yeah.
I know others have done and they've been good, but I would have to say he's been my favorite in voicing Bane, because he just comes across where you don't like Bane.
Right.
He makes you, and you're not supposed to.
Right.
And he perfectly does that. And as we mentioned, David Ogden Stiers as Penguin. We also had
wait, I think this is because Joker did not appear
you
here.
kind of had a villain in,
I guess with Kate's father in a way.
right, and Duquesne being a villain.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much it. And yeah, that was it. Those three were it. They didn't have Joker and these other big rogues
And
gallery.
Rupert Thorne, he's a villain.
Oh, duh, yeah.
He's the crime boss.
Yeah,
So he's
they
a
had
villain.
more of lower level type villains. They didn't have the ones that were higher stakes like Joker. So they had a different way of handling this story, and Mystery was more of the crime family type thing, or hidden secrets, low under the radar type crime. So that was a pretty interesting choice.
Yes.
I think especially be the funniest part would be when she had these two bodyguards and you don't know what's going on with them. And he's investigating these different women, like, who possibly be Batwoman.
They're like Bebop and Rocksteady.
Yeah, and they don't really say that much in here. They kind of just have background humor.
Right.
They come to a point where Bruce is looking through her father's office, and one of the bodyguards comes in, and he sees him, he catches him, and then Batman just looks at him, and the bodyguard just looks back at him. Then he closes the door and leaves. And the other guy asks him, what's in there? Nothing! Nothing! Don't go in there, nothing! He didn't even try to fight him or hey you, he just like quietly left. No, just go ahead.
And Batman continued doing what he was doing. He didn't go chase him. And they had an understanding.
He was like, no, don't go in there, nothing's in there. That was probably one of my favorite parts of the movie, because it's like, you know what, I'm gonna try to fight you.
And this was also when DC didn't mind putting out the money to have excellent voice actors and appearances. There's a singer named Cherie who at the time was really huge. She had pop and dance music, and she was from Marseille, France. And they actually hired her to sing the song Bet You Never as herself in the Iceberg Lounge scene.
Yes, which was pretty neat. And I like that they also added more to the atmosphere of the movie. It was kind of like The Incredibles, where it had the espionage feel to and the mystery. So that really did help with that whole scene. It was probably one of the highlights of the soundtrack.
So I want to say they really had you liking the flirtation between Kathy and Batman. Or we're going to call her Kathy. And they actually had you liking Rocky as well. She reminded us a lot of, she was in Green Arrow.
Yeah, just Arrow.
What was her name?
Not Speedy. Whatever her name is. I'm sorry.
The one who did the computer.
Oh yeah, the ship. Just say
What
the
was her
ship.
name?
Yeah,
The one he ended up marrying.
Yeah,
The blonde. Forgive us, guys. We haven't watched Arrow in so long. Let us know in the comments below. The one who ended up doing
the blonde. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That's whom she reminded me of when we were watching it, and I do believe that that's who they copied that character from in the Arrow series, because she was just like her. She was kind of ditzy, but she was brilliant.
Yeah.
And just like in Arrow, he was using her creations to fight crime and do things. All of her. So that character is exactly the one that was taken from this movie.
Yeah.
When you see it, you'll know. And I can't believe we don't remember her name. I can see her, and I can't think of her name because it's been so long since we watched Arrow.
Yeah, and kind of put that out of our minds after CW ended Arrowverse.
Right. And
Felicity, that's her
Thank
name.
you. That's it, Felicity. This is where Felicity came from.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the last thing we want to add is they had a Chase Me. Well, actually, it's a silent film short called Chase Me. They didn't have a Chase Me. Called Chase Me, that was written by Paul Dini and Alan Burnett, and it follows after the movie, and it was on the direct-to-video movie as an animated short.
And it comes in after the end credits, so that's pretty much your bonus feature if you're watching this on Tubi or something streaming. And it's pretty interesting how they had this play out, because it's almost like the short film I watched on YouTube called Diamond Jack, and you were following the story of you thought someone was a thief stealing a diamond, and it turned out he was saving people from being blown up by a bomb. And in here, it's Batman, well, it's Bruce, and it's supposed to be just, I guess, having a good time, relaxing at the party. Then he sees Catwoman stealing something, and the whole time he's just chasing all across the city. So the cat and mouse game pretty much all the way up until the end.
And yes, they are flirting.
Yes.
So anyone who ships those characters, this is for you.
Yes.
Now, the last thing I want to mention is the soundtrack. Apparently, the soundtrack was really good, and I did like the music we were hearing.
Yeah.
It was actually released in March of 2016 by La La Land Records, and it had 33 tracks on it.
Wow.
It had 26 main, and then the 2 from Chase Me, and then 5 bonus tracks.
Wow, so you get your money's worth.
So it was well received. It wasn't like, oh gosh, you got to see it, that critics felt about it. But how we feel is, oh gosh, you got to see it. It's one of those gems that you didn't know exist and you wish you had before now. And again, it's a perfect representation of what DC used to offer in its animated movies. You couldn't wait for the next one. You couldn't wait to see what characters were going to be making appearances, what VAs would be voicing them. You just couldn't wait to hear your favorites return. And you couldn't wait to hear Kevin Conroy voice Batman again.
Yeah.
So if you're nostalgic for the time DC was great, this is a movie you got to see.
Absolutely.
We watched it on
Tubi,
yeah, because you were telling me that Tubi's going to have a lot of DC releases.
Yes, and they didn't say it was going to be, some were going to be animated, some were going to be live action, so I guess they'll slowly but surely keep adding more to their lineup. So there'll be more opportunities to watch animated movies that we haven't been able to see for years right on the screen.
And cover them for you on our channel.
Right.
So if you've seen Batman Mystery of the Batwoman, let us know what you think in the comments below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Is it one of your favorites? Tell us what you think. If you haven't, watch it. It's on Tubi. Tubi's free. You don't have to pay for it. You don't even have to register. Go to Tubi, watch it, and come back and let us know what you think.
Right. And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates of Boogie's favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Yes, and thank you so much for joining us today. And always, we really appreciate you. You are awesome. If you have something you want us to cover, let us know in the comments below. As you know, we cover everything animation, anime, manga, and soon to come comics.
Yes. So, thank you so much for watching Mask Entertainment.
And at Mom Entertainment.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.